Hey folks, if you hear a little noise in the background, that's clothes washing and drying. But basically, I'm going to do some shooting news. We've had several mass shootings or attempted mass shootings over the last few days, and it's been harrowing. You're sitting there going like, okay, what the hell is going on here? Okay, so let's get straight to the stories. First one, April 23rd, 2023. Yahoo News, of course. A woman is dead and four others are injured after multiple people opened fire at a party in North Carolina, police say. Winston-Salem police responded just before 8 p.m. on Saturday, April 22nd, to a pavilion at Happy Hill Park and found several gunshot victims and a large crowd fleeing the party. There were more than 200 people in attendance when the shooting began. Beatrice Maxine Knights, 21, was pronounced dead at the scene. Police said in a news release. A 34-year-old woman was shot in the arm, leg, and abdomen, was taken to the hospital by EMS, police said. Her injuries are not considered life-threatening. Other injuries can include a 20-year-old woman who was shot in the arm, a 24-year-old woman who was shot in the face, and a 30-year-old man who was shot in the leg, police said. All three were taken to a hospital by friends, and their injuries are also not considered life-threatening. The investigation is ongoing, and we'll leave it from there. Anyone with information, call the Winston-Salem police. This is just insane. This is insane, and there's actually three more stories. Gunfire erupts at an after-prom party, leaving 9 injured, Texas officials say. Man shot parents and their friends dead before opening fire on highway, Maine cops say. Man shoots 3 after food order is delivered to wrong house, Michigan officials say. Jesus Christ. Okay, not happy news, but slightly different. Better. Kim Potter, the officer convicted of killing Daunte Wright, released from prison. You guys remember this one. Daunte Wright was a young black man that they were trying to pull from a car last year, and or maybe it was 2 years ago now. And the young white female, the white female police officer accidentally drew her gun and shot him when she was supposed to be deploying her taser. Oh, if you look at this woman's picture now compared to what she used to look like, oh God, prison has not been kind to her. Kim Potter, the former Brooklyn Center police officer convicted of killing Daunte Wright, a 20-year-old black man shot during a traffic stop, was released from a Minnesota correctional facility Monday, which would be today. Potter was released at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Andy Skogman, spokesperson for the Minnesota Department of Corrections, said in a press release Monday. She was released early this morning out of an abundance of caution for the safety of Miss Potter, DOC staff, and the security of the correctional facility. In other words, they couldn't keep her safe anymore because people were gunning for her in prison. The other inmates were, so they were willing to go through the staff there and the warden and anybody else to get to her. So it was like, look, just let her out. Just let her out before we all get killed over her. Potter was convicted of first and second degree manslaughter in April 11th, 2021 incident. She had pleaded not guilty to both charges, was sentenced last year to 24 months in prison and a fine of $1,000, far below what the prosecution had asked for. 2021 is 2023, 2 years. Yeah, she served her time. But they're letting her out anyway. Wright was pulled over for an expired registration tab and a hanging air freshener in the rearview mirror, according to police. Potter then determined Wright had an outstanding warrant for a gross misdemeanor weapons charge and tried to detain him. According to former Brooklyn Center Police Chief Tim Gannon, there's a name, who resigned after the incident. As officers were arresting Wright, he escaped the officer's grip and was scuffling with them when he was shot by Potter, police said. Her attorney said she meant to grab her stun gun but accidentally shot her firearm instead. Wright, who was in the driver's seat when he was shot, then drove away before crashing into another car. Judge ordered Porter to serve 16 months in prison and 8 months on supervised release. She already had a credit of 58 days served in jail while awaiting sentencing. I recognize there will be those who disagree with the sentence, this is the judge, that I granted a significant downward departure not in any way diminishes Daunte Wright's life. His life mattered. And to those who disagree and feel a longer prison sentence is appropriate, as difficult as it may be, please try to empathize with Miss Potter's situation, Judge Regina Chu said during the sentencing hearing. Chu called the case one of the saddest cases I've had in my 20 years on the bench. The maximum sentence for first-degree manslaughter is 15 years and a $30,000 fine. For second-degree manslaughter, 10 years and a $20,000 fine. Man, I don't know what to say about this. I remember when this case came out. The first thing the boy did wrong was he started struggling with police. We saw the police video. He shouldn't have been struggling with police. He should have just did what he was supposed to do. But she should have been better than, she should have done better. Pulling her gun by accident instead of pulling her taser. Whatever. It's just sad. Okay, and next right here. Man accused of shooting girl and parents arrested in Florida. Now, you all know about this one. This was this came out on April 20th. This was the guy who just walked outside of his house and started shooting at people because some kid's basketball accidentally rolled into his front yard. Gaston, North Carolina, the AP. A North Carolina man accused of shooting and wounding a 6-year-old girl and her parents after children went to retrieve a basketball that had rolled into his yard was arrested in Florida Thursday afternoon, authorities said. The violence was the latest in a string of recent shootings sparked by seemingly trivial circumstances. Devlin got in, folks. Robert Louis Singletary, 24, he kind of looks like somebody I know, was arrested in the Tampa area by Hillsborough County deputies, according to online jail records. He's being held without bail on a fugitive warrant. He's scheduled to appear in court Friday. Gaston City Police Chief Stephen Zill said at a news conference Wednesday that his department and U.S. Marshals Service's Regional Fugitive Task Force had been conducting a broad search for Singletary, who fled after the Tuesday night shootings near Gastonia, a city of roughly 80,000 people west of Charlotte. I've been to Gastonia, Charlotte. It's a nice town. A little country, but this effort didn't have enough guts to hang around and face the music. No, he ran all the way to Florida. Who paid enough to get him there is the question. Singletary had been out on bond in a December attack in which authorities say he assaulted a woman with a hammer. He was wanted in Tuesday's shootings on 4 counts of attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon with the intent to kill, inflicting serious injury, and 1 count of being a felon in possession of a firearm. I don't care how black this fool is, he's a monster. Zill declined to say what sparked the attack, explaining that the investigation was ongoing. Don't worry, we got a little bit more on that in a moment. However, neighbor Jonathan Robertson said the attack happened after some neighborhood children went to retrieve a basketball that had rolled into Singletary's yard. He said Singletary, who had yelled at the children on several occasions since moving to the neighborhood, went inside his home, came back out with a gun, and began shooting as parents frantically tried to get their kids to safety. As soon as I saw him coming out shooting, I was hollering at everybody to get down and get inside, Robertson said. A 6-year-old girl, Kenzie White, was grazed by a bullet in the left cheek and was treated out of hospital and released, she and her family said. Her father, Jamie White, had to run to her aid, was shot in the back. He remained hospitalized Thursday with serious wounds, including liver damage. According to Kinsley's grandfather and neighbor, Carl Hildebrand, the girl's mother, Ashley Hildebrand, was grazed in the elbow. Authorities say Singletary also shot at another man, but missed. Thank God. It was very scary, Ashley Hildebrand said Wednesday. My daughter actually got to come home last night. She just had a bullet fragment in her cheek. We're going to read more about this in a moment. It is the latest in a string of recent U.S. shootings that occurred for apparently trivial reasons, including the wounding of a black teenage honor student in Missouri who went to the wrong address to pick up his younger brothers, the killing of a woman who was in a car that pulled into the wrong upstate New York driveway, and the wounding of 2 Texas cheerleaders apparently after one mistakenly got into a car she thought was her own. Okay. Now, moving on to the next story, there's actually an interview with the guy who was shot. It says, for some reason, Crowder's Mountain man says he was shot shielding his daughter. Okay, we got a picture of the guy here. It says, Jamie White placed a hand over his injury as he prepares to talk to the media in the front yard of his home on Greer Street Monday morning, April 24th, 2023. That's here, that's now. In the seconds before he was shot, Jamie White saw a man point a revolver at his 6-year-old daughter, Kinsley. Remember the previous story we just read? I just ran towards my daughter. That's when he shot me. White arrived home from Carolina's Medical Center around 8 p.m. Saturday evening. On Monday morning, every movement, even deep breaths, brought him pain. But White is alive to feel the pain, and he is grateful for that fact, despite the long road to recovery ahead of him. Speaking in an interview outside of his home in Crowder's Mountain, White recounted the shooting, which stemmed from a conflict with his then neighbor Robert Louis Singletary, black man, over a basketball that rolled into Singletary's yard. Basketball American joke, people. Singletary is accused of shooting and wounding 3 people on April 18th. Jamie White, his wife, Ashley Hildebrand, now why does she have a different name, and Kinsley, who were wounded by bullet fragments that lodged in her cheek. The 3 of them were shot on what, in many ways, was a normal spring evening. Jamie White was grilling steaks outside. Kinsley was playing with a group of neighborhood children down the street. The first sign of trouble came when the basketball rolled into Singletary's yard, according to White, who said Singletary confronted other neighbors about it. It looked like a normal conversation, White said. Singletary walked into his home and came out with a gun, according to White. He comes back out the door running, firing at that man and his kids, White said. At that point, I took off. My youngin' was down the road, too. My little girl and about 10, 12 other kids were down there. They were all stunned. It was the first time they had ever seen anything like that. White ran down the road telling the children to come to him. Singletary approached White, who told him there were too many children outside for him to be... What? Oh, White told him there were too many children outside for him to be shooting, White said. I said, man, that's crazy. And he said, you white? I don't even like white people. I'm going to shoot your ass, White said. This guy said. White said that Singletary dropped the gun he was holding and grabbed another, then ran across the road and started firing at White and Kinsley. He fires 3 shots. He hasn't hit nobody yet. Then I turn around and look. My daughter's right in front of me. I look and see he's pointing straight at my daughter, and I just run towards my daughter, and that's when he got me. White fell to the ground. The bullet had punctured one of his lungs and his liver, coming out through his belly. The shrapnel lodged in Kinsley's cheek. And they got a picture of this little girl right here. She's going to have a scar on her face for the rest of her life. Not to mention the mental scars. Singletary pulled the trigger another 3 times and missed, White said. I was worried about my babies, White said. I was already hit. I was losing breath. I was on fire. I honestly didn't think I was going to make it. White said the police arrived faster than he thought they would, but paramedics were waiting on the police to secure the scene. White told police officers if they didn't get him help, he was going to die. Several police officers picked White up and carried him to an ambulance. From there, White remembers bits and pieces of what happened next. He was flown from Carolmont Regional Medical Center to Carolina's Medical Center in Charlotte. He said that as he was being transported, medical workers tried to keep him awake. In the hospital, he asked for more oxygen, and was able to speak to his parents and to detectives. White is not active on social media, but he saw news of the shooting on TV, and as word spread, the story, which was largely focused on Kinsley, made international news, becoming part of a much broader conversation about gun violence in the United States. For his part, he was angry when he learned that Singletary had been released from jail on an unsecured bond after an alleged assault in December, when was accused of beating his girlfriend with a miniature sledgehammer and holding her captive. None of this would have happened if the judicial system would have done their job, White says. When Wright arrived home from the hospital, his 4 children, including Kinsley, were waiting for him. She's in very good spirits, White said. Poor baby, she's constantly worried about me. She comes and checks on me every 15 minutes. The neighborhood on Monday morning was quiet. Outside White's home, there was sidewalk chalk on the ground, and a child had chalked a hopscotch pattern onto the pavement of the driveway. 3 bicycles haphazardly in the yard. Birds chirped as a small plane droned overhead. The police tape was gone. But White has been permanently altered by the experience. There are bullet fragments still lodged inside him. A supervisor at a chemical cleaning company, White has been out of work since he has been shot, and is expected to be home for 3 more weeks as he heals. There's a bullet hole in their patio roof, a visible reminder of the almost deadly encounter. It's still a real open wound, he said. They told me it's going to be a long, slow road to recovery. Last part here, it says, Singletary was later arrested in Florida where he awaits extradition. Under the jail! Under the effing jail! As HB would say. Under the effing jail for this fool. Oh, so sad that all these shootings and bad things are happening. But, folks, blame the people, not the guns in this case. We can only hope that things get better, or at least cool off from here. Kind of a bit of sad stories, but there's hope. There's always hope. We have to have some kind of hope. All right, everybody take care. This one has run 17 minutes. I'm getting into pool time here. Maybe I'll be monetized. Yeah, right, whatever. All right, folks. In the description and in a pinned comment will be links to other places that you can see me. I don't do much on Gab other than post links to my videos. So there's that. Everybody take care and have a blessed day.